Commentator and Republican strategist Alice Stewart, and Maria Cardona, also a CNN political commentator, but a Democratic strategist. And they are the hosts of the podcast Hot Mics from Left to Right. Ladies, welcome.
Good morning, Victor.
Alice, let me start with you and the big number, 99,321. That is now a world record for single coronavirus cases reported in a day. And there have been 5 U.S. records in the last 8 days. How does this president get up onto a stage in front of thousands of people and with a straight face say, we're rounding the corner?
Look, clearly the numbers are not going in the right direction, and we would love to see this take a dramatic turn. And there are concerns as we get into the winter months. But the good thing is that people are learning to use precautions. We're learning to wear masks, social distance. And I am encouraged by the words of the president that say that we do have a vaccine in the very near future. And that's very good news to hear. And look, one death is too many, one case is too many. But the fact that we are putting a greater emphasis on taking the necessary precautions. But it's important that we use these precautions, we social distance, we wear masks, but we also take every opportunity and every effort to safely and effectively reopen our schools, reopen our businesses, so we can get back to business as usual and life as usual, and really work to the degree that we can to get our economy even more back on track.
But Alice, wouldn't that be a more credible message if the president actually did any of that? I mean, if he actually enforced wearing a mask or enforced social distancing and didn't, make fun of Laura Ingraham when he saw her wearing a mask, wouldn't those words mean something?
Victor, I really do wish that he would talk the talk and walk the walk and wear masks more often. But look, none of these people have to go to these rallies. None of these people are forced to go. They go there because they want to see the president. They are asked and encouraged to wear masks, and it's their personal decision whether or not they want to do so. These are grown adults in almost every circumstance, so it's their decision as to what they want to do. And clearly, the president takes precautions in the degree that he can in staying away from people, and the best message is to heed the advice of our public health officials and use social distancing and wear masks as often as possible.
Maria?
Of course that's not a credible message. I've always said that the president would be in a much better spot if he did listen to our friend Alice Stewart, but he doesn't. He doesn't not only listen to her, but he makes fun of Laura Ingraham, like you mentioned. He makes fun of the people who have lost loved ones. When he goes up to a rally and he starts going, COVID, 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 like an elementary schoolyard taunt. It is a stab in the heart of the families who have lost loved ones when we are at record high infections, record high deaths. Somebody is getting infected right now, Victor, every second. Somebody dies every 2 minutes, and this president still has not been able to admit that this is a huge problem. He wants to focus on the economy, but what he doesn't understand is that if he does not focus on getting the pandemic under control and crushing the virus, which is what Joe Biden will do, he's never going to be able to open the economy in a safe way. And that's what Americans are looking to their president to do.
Maria, let me stay with you and talk about Florida, because there are plenty of strategists and activists and even elected officials. We've got Congresswoman Frederica Wilson there, who is concerned in South Florida about soft numbers, soft voter turnout among black voters, Latino voters. Are you worried 3 days out?
Of course I'm worried, Victor. I've always been worried. It's the only way to be if you really want to win an election, especially an election when your own candidate has shown margins in battleground states and in national polls in the double digits. You know, that makes us feel good in terms of the overall trends of where this election is going, but we can never take anything for granted. 2016 taught us that very well. So yes, I'm absolutely worried. I know that the campaign is worried, and as such, they are doing everything they can between now and Election Day to get out every single voter, to call them, to text them, to go to them. Joe Biden is holding rallies, but he's doing that in a safe way and putting the health and the well-being of his supporters first and foremost. And I think that what you're going to see in these last 3 days is that closing message for Joe Biden is going to focus on getting out the vote, but also on making the contrast between what this president is focused on and what Joe Biden is.
You told me that after the convention, right, when we had a conversation about soft numbers with Hispanic and Latino voters, you told me that there are people who don't know how to poll Hispanic and Latino voters, and that as soon as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have an opportunity to make that case, we will see those numbers, that gap close. And here we are now 3 days out, and it's the same narrative. Are they just not resonating?
But your question was different, Victor. The question of the polls, and we have seen the polls on Latino numbers really grow the way that I said they would after the convention. If you look at the polls from the pollsters who actually know how to poll Latinos, Joe Biden is on track to get Obama numbers, the ones that he got in 2012, which is what the campaign is going for. We are on track. Joe Biden is on track to getting that. That doesn't mean that we should not be worried and making sure that we get out every single vote that we can between now and Election Day.
Alice, let me come to you now in Pennsylvania. President Trump has 4 events there today. You know, the latest polls show that it's going to be a hike for him to win that state again, and maybe because of this specific group. Let's put up the full screen too, guys. Seniors, choice for president among 65 and older in Pennsylvania, from a 10-point win in 2016 to an 11-point deficit. Explain what's happening here. Is this only the coronavirus, or do you expect there's more here?
It certainly could be a lot of factors. Obviously, Joe Biden from a neighboring state is helpful for his numbers there. But, you know, Trump did tremendous in 2016 because of winning these Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Look, I think Pennsylvania has his best shot of those in terms of winning this time for a lot of reasons. He's campaigned there quite a bit recently. He will be there several times between now and Tuesday. But I believe his biggest argument in Pennsylvania is the back and forth that Joe Biden has on the fracking issue with regard to energy. Fracking jobs are key in Pennsylvania. Thousands and thousands of people rely on money they make from the fracking jobs. And without a certain answer from Joe Biden on what he wants to do with the future in that industry, that's going to turn a lot of voters off of him and onto Donald Trump. And his closing argument of opportunity and prosperity for Americans will really resonate there and across the country.
That might be a really strong argument, but I watched the rally in, I believe it was Waterford Township yesterday, and the president, instead of making that argument over and over again, he did this.
Where's Hunter? There's Hunter right there. He's out by the truck. He's looking to make a couple of bucks. Hunter's done very well for an unemployed person, right? For years unemployed, and then he hit pay dirt. His father became vice president. And Joe hit pay dirt too. That's part of the problem.
Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton, I mean, it was all over the place. Any minute, especially in a state that he's trying to keep, how does that help him at all? He's not making the argument exclusively that you say, that, and many analysts say, could be strong for him in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan.
One difference in a speech he gives and Joe Biden gives is that the president talks for much, much longer. Ideally, he would get in there, stay on message, and get out, but he tends to like to speak to the audience and rally the crowd. But since you brought up Hunter Biden, I think that's a valid story. It's a valid question when we know that Hunter Biden has strong financial ties with China and with foreign governments. It does raise the question. It's not as much about Hunter Biden, it's about Joe Biden and whether or not, if he were to be elected president, he would face tremendous financial leverage from foreign countries if he was sitting in the White House. These are valid questions that need to be answered.
How many patents and copyrights did Ivanka Trump get in the last 4 years? I mean, it seems like there's like a little pot, kettle, glass house, if I'm mixing metaphors and narratives. I got to wrap it here. Maria Cardona, thank you very much. Alice Stewart, thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor.
3 days. Christi?
Go for it.
Go.